In this video, we're going to be looking at powers and exponents and order of operations. So we need to look at some vocabulary first. The first word is exponents, and it is the quantity in which you use for repeated multiplication and then the base is the number that is being multiplied. So we're going to look at an example like 4 to the third. Okay, 3 here is our exponent or our power, and the 4 is called our base. And the 3 tells me that I am going to take my base of 4 and I'm going to multiply it by itself 3 times. So I would do 4 times 4 times 4. That's what that's telling me. Now I can take this long multiplication and I can write it in condensed form. So we're going to look at some examples. It says rewrite each of the following with exponents. So if I am multiplying the same number over and over and over, that number would be my base. So here on A, 10 times 10 times 10, 10 is my base. And I'm going to raise it to the power. How many times am I multiplying it by each other? I'm multiplying it 3 times. So this would be 10 to the third power. In B, I'm doing 4.3 times 4.3. So what number is being multiplied over and over? That's my base, 4.3. And then my exponent, how many times is it being multiplied? It's being multiplied twice, so 4.3 to the second power. And then C, x times x times x times x. My base is the number that's being repeatedly multiplied. That is x. And how many times is it being multiplied? 4, x to the fourth. Now, we can take these expressions that we just wrote and evaluate them. We talked about evaluating on Wednesday. Evaluate means to plug in and solve. So the only thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the 2 and I'm going to put it into the x's spot. So I'm going to get 2 to the fourth. Evaluate means to solve or to actually get an answer. 2 to the fourth tells me that I'm going to take my base of 2 and I'm going to multiply it by itself 4 times. And so 2 times 2 is 4. And then that 4 times 2 gives me 8. And then that 8 times 2 gives me 16. Okay, now I want you to pause your video and I want you to do the you try numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so now check your answers. Okay, the next thing we're going to look at is order of operations. This tells us the way that we have to solve a problem. Order does matter. So the first thing that we look for is parentheses. Then we look at exponents. Then the next thing that we look for is multiplication, division. Now, one or the other doesn't necessarily go first. We're going to do whichever comes first from left to right in the problem. And then the last thing we look for is addition, subtraction. And again, addition or subtraction doesn't necessarily come before the other. We do it from left to right in our problem. Okay, so let's look at number 1. Okay, so I'm going to go through, I'm going to start in my order of operations at number 1, and I'm going to look to see what I have. So, do I have parentheses? Yes, I do have parentheses, which means I have to do that part first. So 17 minus 6 gives me 11. And then I'm just going to bring down that 8. I don't have any exponents, so I'm good there. I skip that. Multiplication, division, I am multiplying, so 8 times 11 gives me 88. Okay, number 2, parentheses, I don't have any parentheses. Then I look at exponents, I don't have any exponents. Before I can actually do the multiplication division here, I'm going to have to simplify the top and the bottom. So 14 plus 6 gives me 20. Over 12 minus 7 gives me 5. And then 20 divided by 5 gives me 4. Okay, number 3. I've got parentheses. I actually have parentheses, but then I actually have a set of what we call brackets here. So the brackets overrule the parentheses. So I'm going to do what's in parentheses inside the brackets. So I'm going to kind of rewrite some of this. Minus 13 plus 9 is 22. And then I'm going to take and I'm going to subtract 36 minus 22. And that's going to give me 14. And then when I multiply these together, 15 times 14 is going to give me 70. Okay, you take a minute and you try the next 3. Okay, so check your answers. Okay, the next example, evaluate each expression. So we're going to take our numbers, we're going to plug it in, and then we're going to use our order of operations to make sure that we did it correctly. So I'm going to plug in 2 where I see an X, a 5 where I see a Y. So 4 times 2 plus 5, I have to do the parentheses first. 2 plus 5 is 7. And then I can multiply 4 times 7 gives me 28. Okay, number 2, I'm going to plug in first. 3 parentheses, 2 goes in there for X. 5 goes in for Y squared. Order of operations say I have to do what's in parentheses first. So 2 plus 5 gives me 7. Then order of operations say I have to do what comes next, exponents. Okay, before I even do anything with that 3. 7 squared is 7 times 7, which is 49. And then lastly, I can multiply by the 3. That's going to give me 7 to, I believe, 147. Okay, you take a minute and you try. Pause the video and you try it and then come back and check them. Okay, so you check your answers, and then I want you to do this daily practice. You need to work out these 5 problems, take a picture of them, and send them to me on Google Classroom.